Corporate Joint Committee Overview and Scrutiny Subcommittee meeting. I'm delighted to welcome you to the session. Just a brief reminder, please, all mobile phones should be switched off for silent during the meeting. And this is a webcast hybrid meeting. The meeting will be recorded for broadcast via the Council's internet site. By participating, you are consenting to being filmed and the possible use of those images and sound recordings for training purposes. I would also like to point out that translation is available, and if you see the note from the translator, it's in the chat, and it's how to access that if you need to do so. Okay, so thank you again for attending. We'll move into the items on the agenda. The first item is Chair's announcements. I do not have any announcements this morning for a change. So item 2, declarations of interest. I haven't been made aware of any declarations of interest, but if there are any, could you please raise your hand now?
I don't see any, Chair.
Thank you, Alison. Much appreciated. We'll move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the Audit Wales commentary of Corporate Joint Committee progress. I believe that this item has been requested to be withdrawn. Can I just seek confirmation of that? Christy, are you able to confirm that? Is that right?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This report was going to be drafted in response to the correspondence received from Audit Wales on the 17th of July 2023. In particular, the recommendations were to produce a participation strategy and a child poverty action plan. So that's under development at the moment. So we're looking at bringing that forward into the next meeting in May. In terms of our compliance and engagement with Audit Wales are looking at reviewing this over an 18 to 24 month period then from the date of correspondence. So again, we are looking at a timely sort of return on this by May, and with prior engagement with Audit Wales as well then. And just to note that this item won't go forward then to, as planned, to the CJC on the 19th of March as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for clarifying that, Christy. That's very helpful. So we'll move on then, unless anyone has any reason not to. No. Good. Thank you. So we'll move on to item 4 on the agenda, which is the subcommittee update, economic wellbeing and economic activity. So if you just excuse me while I flip to the actual file in. Okay. So has anyone got any? Are we having? I believe was Ainsley or Paul going to do a brief summary of the report, because we had this arrive quite late. Alison,
I believe Simon Davis is on the call, Chair. I believe Simon should be able to give us a summary of the report.
Yeah. No
problem. Oh, wonderful.
Put it out, Chair. Put it out. Simon Davis, Head of Economic Development and Property in Carmarthenshire, standing in for Ainsley Williams this morning. So to give you an overview of the report aims to provide an update from the Economic Wellbeing and Regional Economic Development Subcommittee about the progress and expenditure of the Shared Prosperity Fund for Q3 of 2024. The report outlines the responsibility of local governments in developing regional investment plans for SPF and sets out the basis of the programme being anchor projects, grant schemes and standalone projects. Of particular note is paragraph 2.9, if I could draw your attention towards that. It sets out the provision of a transition year for 25-26. Discussions will continue between the UK and the Welsh Government on the funding beyond March 26, and work will need to be completed by December 25 for that transition year. In terms of the regional performance outputs, these are detailed in section 3 of the report. The report highlights significant progress in regional performance outputs, including job creation, safeguarded jobs and grants awarded to organisations and enterprises. And in relation to the SWWCJC priorities and budget, section 5 sets out the priorities for 25-26. And the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee has approved a budget for 25-26, of circa £50,000 per year, £50,000 per year, which allocation, for economic well-being and development and detailed actions to achieve well-being objectives. That concludes my overview, Chair. Diolch.
Thank you very much, Simon. That's very helpful. Okay, so has anyone got any questions about this item?
I can't see any indications, Chair.
I can't see any either, Alison. I was just wait. I thought maybe there might have been a delay with the internet, so give them a second. So, okay, well, thank you very much, Simon. So I believe this. Oh, hello.
Sorry, Russell, I'm trying to get my hand up for some reason. It doesn't want to go up. Hold on, try again.
See now, Emlyn. That's why I waited.
Okay.
Just for that. Okay, Councillor Schiavone, please come on in.
Thanks, Russell. Yeah, just thank you, Simon, for that overview and summary. But I just wanted to note that in terms of the Shared Prosperity Fund, which has been quite important funding for a lot of organisations, I note now in this the next phase of the Shared Prosperity Fund that the amount of funding is considerably smaller in scale. So that is a concern, because this was meant to sort of kind of be, well, it's kind of a token gesture to replace EU funding. But the funding has been useful, certainly for the past 12 months, and a number of different organisations have benefited from that funding that I'm aware of. But it's just a shame now that that's been reduced considerably, and that's obviously going to have an impact. I know of one particular organisation who've been informed there's no funding for them, even though they've had a brilliant project for 12 months. And a lot of individuals, young adults, older adults, particularly adults with needs, have benefited from a project called Multiply. That funding now is not, they were hoping to have some continued funding, but they've been informed, there won't be any further funding. So that project is now sort of completed and finished, which is a shame, because they've done some excellent work with a lot of people. So just to note that disappointment in there's been such a significant reduction in the funding available. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Emlyn. Appreciate your comments. We will note this report is for information only. So we'll move on to the next item now. Okay. Next item is, just excuse me flicking between, some of the reports came through at different times, so I haven't quite got everything. So the next item on the agenda is agenda item 5, annual report, which in your files is the, right.
It's the general progress,
the corporate plan. Yeah, thank you. The general progress. Thank you, Alison. Again, so was Christy going to introduce this? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Chair.
Excellent. That's good. Thank you.
So again, just for this item and the next, I'll cover both then, really. So in terms of the annual report, you may recall that we brought an update in the last few months, really. So what I'm trying to do is bring this report really in line really with the financial year. So the purpose of the report is to provide members with a general progress update of the performance of the CJC for the year 24-25. And it is to be noted that the financial annual return is not included within this document, and it was covered at CJC on the 12th of September 2024. So the recommendation is that members note and endorse ahead of it being presented to CJC on the 19th of March. And again, the document itself is Appendix 1, and it's the general progress update of the CJC for 24-25. So within that document, there's an array really of what we've actually taken through committees, what engagement we've had, what governance process we've got in place as well. And again, we are reviewing as a part of our AGM then in May as well. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Christy. Excellent. So, has anyone got any questions on this item? Okay, we've been asked to note and endorse the general progress. So can I have somebody to propose to do that, please? Anyone? Thank you, Sean, and Emlyn second. And if we could all just raise our hands if we're happy, that would be great. Thank you. That's unanimous. Alison?
Yes, Chair. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so our next item is agenda item 6. Again, excuse me, just finding it. It's the corporate plan 2023-28 corporate priorities. And this is a slightly longer document, 124 pages. Hopefully you've got it in front of you now. And again, Christy, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Members, you will recall that we brought papers to committee back in January to go through the proposed priorities for 25-26 and the proposed budget as well. So both have been approved by CJC in January. So the purpose really is to include those priorities on the budget within our existing corporate plan. And just to note, really, the wellbeing objectives, which are 1 to 3, haven't changed. So therefore, we have not gone out for further consultation, but we've used the consultation throughout as building up really our knowledge base of our communities, really. So we're not losing anything. So currently we'll be looking at this being the corporate plan for 23-28. Will be version 3, whereby we'll have updated the actions to deliver against the wellbeing objectives. So what you'll find, the majority of the corporate plan remains unchanged until the appendices and the action plans of the rear of the document have been updated. So in terms of the purpose really is to seek endorsement and to advise members really of the update, and the recommendation is that members are able to endorse the plan ahead of it going to the Corporate Joint Committee on the 19th of March. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy. Excellent. Councillor Percy, I believe you wanted to raise a question on this. Is that right?
Yes, Chair, diolch. Yeah, just a couple of points to pick up on this one, Kirsty. Thanks for the sort of brief introduction there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to just draw people's attention to what was mentioned first on page 5, but the statements are repeated again on page 62, 66, 72, 75 and 117. So they're throughout the document. And there's 2 points which have been taken from consultation, I believe. What one is a bullet point saying the need to ensure balance and proportionality towards achieving net zero without impacting the economy. And then there's a second statement, which is net zero targets need to be proportionate to the locality without impacting the local economy and added impoverishment. Now, I find that the statements are quite jarring. I don't think their tone is really in line with what we recognise to be quite, a huge sort of opportunity for a local and regional economy from green industries. And I don't think they also recognise the quality of life improvements from, better insulated homes, a housing stock, increasing energy security from green energy either. So I'm not really comfortable with those statements in the plan and those remaining in the plan in the way that they're currently written. I particularly don't see how we can justify the sort of impact to the economy statement, given it's our greatest growth opportunity. And on page 5, where those statements are first shown, it actually sits alongside another statement where we say we're going to work with Net Zero Wales to promote the region to potential investors. So I'm not sure we're making those 2 earlier statements is going to help that case, because I think it sends a bit of a mixed message. And elsewhere in the document as well, we do also make a statement outlining what the strengths are for the region. And we say in particular, especially linked with the region's energy potential, particularly green energy and the net zero opportunity. So I appreciate we may have taken these statements from the consultation, but they aren't really in line with what I believe to be the CJC's general understanding of what the regional opportunities are for the economy going forward, which is actually huge opportunities in net zero. So I'm uncomfortable with them, and I feel like I need to express that today. And I think I would hope that serious consideration is given to removing those statements that are throughout the action plan. Diolch.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate those comments. Christy, would you like to say anything in response to that before I open further?
Again, the consultations undertaken in January 2024, again, is a little bit before my time of coming in. So the purpose of including the feedback of those consultations is for the openness and transparency of what the findings were. In terms of our commitment hasn't changed in terms of our wellbeing objectives. And in terms of how the CJC has adopted our strategies, our commitment again hasn't changed in those. What it is fair to say is that in terms of our action plans at the rear of the document, really, it is the purpose really of ensuring that the priorities against both the strategy and the wellbeing objectives are being monitored by our regional directors, and we are reviewing on an annual basis, if not more frequently, as a part of our own programme board monitoring as well. So I totally appreciate, Councillor Pursley, your feedback, and I will look into it. But I think as well, it is important that we are capturing really the feedback that has been gained from that earlier consultation.
Okay, Christy, thank you. Sean, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, if I can come back briefly, Chair, if that's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think maybe there's an element of this that probably should be picked up from the political side in terms of the sentiment behind these statements, and perhaps how I feel that's inappropriate in the context of the wider document. But whilst I appreciate we've taken on board the consultation, we do have to recognise what the objectives of the CJC are, what the actual situation is on the ground, and if we do have consultation responses that are not compatible with that, we can acknowledge them. We can show we've listened and understood them. But actually, when we reflect in the overall document, I think we need to show some consistency of message. And I think this is one, as I've said, maybe for the politicians to pick up as well at the CJC level, and maybe we can reflect that in our comments, Chair, when or if we send a letter to the CJC from this scrutiny meeting. Diolch.
Thank you, Sean. That sounds like a good idea, a letter. We might come back to that in a second. But Councillor John, I see your hand's raised. Would you like to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to raise something which we've talked about before, but the strategic development plan for South West Wales, which is supposed to be developed on page 4, it says as one of the objectives to produce a sound, deliverable, coordinated and locally distinctive strategic plan for South West Wales, which is understandable. That's what we've been challenged to do. But then it goes on page 7, the associated steps, and it prepares to start the process of developing it. It's something which, again, we've discussed this before, and until funding is made available from Welsh Government for this, the councils can't really afford to take it on, and I think we need to be realistic with that, because it is in the document there, and I did highlight quickly. It's Appendix 6, Wellbeing Objective 3, Strategic Plan, Development Action Plan, and it goes on about engagement with Welsh Government and prepared for delivery. But until Welsh Government make that commitment to invest for this, I don't see it getting off the ground unless I'm missing something here, because every time we've discussed it, and I haven't got the figures in front of me from the last meeting, but so much has been invested altogether to put the framework there, but without this influx of cash for actually doing the plan itself, it's not going to come off the ground. So I don't see how that can be met unless there is a serious commitment from Welsh Government to put money into this.
Thank you, Councillor John. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that that's what's reflected in the comment, though, isn't it? When they say prepare to start the process of developing a regional strategic plan for South West Wales. once in receipt of Welsh Government guidance, together with the appropriate budget and reliance on. We're still wait. I agree with you, but we're still waiting. If you see what I mean.
I appreciate. I did that. I read out that section prepared to start, and I think it's something we need to. We need to keep making the case that if Welsh Government want this to succeed, they're going to have to sort of step up and really put the investment into it, because otherwise it's councils. We're talking around in circles on it. It gets frustrating on everything, doesn't it? Are we going to be talking the same in 12 months' time when this is renewed? I don't know. I mean, what is the aim?
Yeah, I share your frustration. I believe the CJC do as well, and we've discussed it before. But Christy, would you like to comment on that section, on that?
Yeah, in terms of moving forward, we have engaged with our counterparts really in Cardiff. In terms of the region, the Cardiff Capital region have started to develop and move forward with their SDP, and they've started to produce a draft delivery agreement. So in terms of shared learning, we have met with them to understand really how they've been able to attain that, and what lessons we can learn from it. So it does appear that they're very much in a similar position as we are in the southwest, and again mirrored in Mid Wales and North Wales. It's a fact that they have produced a draft delivery agreement that they have been out to consultation. They've shared that with Welsh Government again as a part of their consultation. But again, it's very much minded on the facts of what we've already highlighted, that without funding, we would be unable to commit then to that delivery agreement. So in terms of moving forward, the CJC are drafting a letter to go to the Cabinet Secretary to again highlight the concerns and challenges that we're being faced, not only in the South West Wales CJC, but the aim is that we're going to produce the response really on behalf of an all Wales approach and from all 4 CJCs. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. That's quite helpful. Michael, would you like to come back in?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that answer. I think it is important that the CJC then have got our support as a scrutiny committee, that we share their concerns and would echo those same sentiments, because we're here to sort of scrutinise them, aren't we, the CJC, and ask them why they're not developing what they should be developing, perhaps. But we support them in that. The Welsh Government aren't putting the correct resources into it, I'd say.
Okay, thank you, Councillor John. Right, can I come back to the net zero comments that Councillor Percy's raised? I share his concerns in terms of the language in the report, how it's effectively being presented as if it's. Just bear with me. Let me get it back up on my screen. Get my bookmarks. Yeah, I mean, look on page 62 in our pack, but where it says about the economic wellbeing objective, the need to ensure balance and proportionality towards achieving net zero. Certainly from Carmarthenshire, we declared a climate emergency several years ago, and we can't afford to apply balance and proportionality when we're facing a climate crisis. I see completely where this is coming from, and net zero targets for all of our benefits. So I propose we highlight these issues, but I want to limit any ambiguity between the CJC and the CJC scrutiny. So as advised by the chair of CJC and the chief executive, I think we should write a letter to them, if that's okay. And I wonder what members think about us doing that, to highlight both things. I think Councillor John's comments about continuing to support the CJC in its quest to have funding to be able to deliver the SDP. That's fair comment. Don't think our position has actually changed on that, but in order to limit ambiguity, perhaps we put it in a letter. And then also the net zero proportionality and balance, and the question about that having an impact on the CJC delivering in the future, when, as Councillor Percy's quite rightly said, our green future, both with the wind turbines and the solar power and all of the potential of green energy that the West as our region offers the rest of Wales. I think, you know, we should maybe highlight that. What does anyone have any comments on that? If we were to put a letter together with those two things, would you be happy on those on that basis? I don't want to speak
I'm
out
happy
of
with that
turn.
report, Chair.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Pursey. Anyone else want to come in? No. Okay. I hope everyone agrees that's reasonable given the
Yeah,
context
agreed.
and also the economic climate. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Councillor John. Right. So let me jump back. I'm not checking my my phone or anything. I'm just trying to find the right section on my other device because of the agenda. Honestly. So then we're coming to the forward work programme, the item 7 on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. So this item is just for noting at today's meeting. We're actually in the last meeting of the civic year for the Overview Scrutiny Committee, Chair. If anything does come up in the meantime for the new data set, we will of course liaise with you, Chair, and make sure that the Scrutiny Committee are made aware of anything, but this item is just for noting. I don't know, Chair, if members wish to raise at this point as well about some of the reports, and members had difficulty reading them prior to the meeting because of the issue of the timings that they were issued, Chair. I don't know if that's something you wish to talk at this point.
That's a really good suggestion. Thank you, Alison. I think I'd like to thank all the members for their work over the past 12 months as we're coming towards the end of this this civic year. But yes, I do find it. I share members' frustrations if the reports are late and don't come out with the agenda because it doesn't give us time to read them and process them. Councillor John, would you like to come in here?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And it's not a criticism of anybody. I know people are busy and it's hard to get these reports together. But if we are going to give it due diligence and have time to look through it, I mean, we need more than sort of 24 hours to do it. I mean, 120 odd pages is quite a lot to take in. And I for myself, had commitments yesterday, community council last night, something on the daytime, so it doesn't leave a lot of time. So if the packs can come out with the agenda 5 days before the meeting, then that's ideal. And just on the subject, I got the sort of microphone at the moment, and I think am I losing the plot here or something now? But we didn't have a agenda item for minutes the last meeting. Was that explained at the start? Did I miss something or not?
The minutes are waiting just to come back from the officers, Chair, for comments, and they'll be published probably tomorrow now, and we'll come back to the next meeting for approval, Chair.
Okay, perhaps I missed that at the start of the meeting, so apologies.
Thank you. I think that highlights exactly what we're talking about in terms of timeliness for everybody. Both the comment about the minutes and also the reports. So I suggest that in order to limit ambiguity between the CJC Scrutiny Committee and the CJC, that we also add a paragraph to the letter that just reinforces the importance of the reports coming out in a timely manner with the agenda and the minutes, and also being commented on and fed back in order to support the officers. Because and again, this is not a criticism of any of the officers, and in fact I'd like to thank Alison for all her work over the last 12 months with supporting me on this committee and us as members. It's been it's very helpful and supportive throughout the year. So but I will draft a letter then with the 3 paragraphs in it, one supporting the CJC in its continued efforts to secure funding to be able to do more, in particular the SDP. The second one about net zero and our continuing commitment to net zero and not wanting to water that down in any way, shape or form. And then also that we get reports in a timely manner. I think that would be the 3 elements. Okay, and I'll circulate it to members for comment. And also, yeah, I just think underline the fact that all 3 of those things are about us working more effectively together, really. So thank you, and I hope that will come across, Christy, in the letter. And if it doesn't, then I apologise for the in advance. Right. So that's item 7, and moving on to item 8, urgent items. There aren't any urgent items that I've been made aware of, and I don't believe there are any. So I'd like to thank you all again for attending this morning's meetings, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you. Thank you, and close the meeting.